The top stories: U.S. senators strongly opposed U.S. restrictions against Ethiopian officials. Chinese official urges the U.S. to stop interfering in other countries' internal affairs. And French President Emmanuel Macron admitted his country's responsibility in the Rwandan genocide. Hello, many thanks for joining us. You're watching Addis News Hour. With the news, I'm Tabitha John. Do stay with us. A senior U.S. senator from Oklahoma strongly opposed the U.S. government's visa and economic assistance restrictions against the Ethiopian government. In a strong and detailed speech he gave on the Senate floor, Senator James Mountain Inhofe reproached his government's attempt to equate the TPLF and the Ethiopian government as equals. Solomon Daniel looks into his speech.
Receiving the news in dismay, the Ethiopian government reacted boldly against the visa and economic assistance restrictions that the US government is planning to impose on Ethiopia. Though the restriction will have political and economic implications to the East African nation, the government chose to firmly chastise the US government for trying to undermine the country's sovereignty. The tit-for-tat continues between the two governments. Members of the US Senate are urging the government to reconsider its plan. James Mountain Inhofe is a senior member of the U.S. Senator who stands first to challenge the decision.
First, we need to be clear. Everyone, especially the Ethiopian government, wants nothing more than a peaceful resolution to the conflict in the Tigray. But this action puts the terrorist organization, the TPLF, that's a terrorist organization, on equal status with our Ethiopian government. Now, that's unacceptable, and it's wrong. It's outrageous.
Inhofe unequivocally stated that the Ethiopian government had only responded to an attack from a disgruntled clique that tried to destabilize the nation.
A regional party, TPLF, attacked a government military base. The government rightfully responded, and the regional terrorist group is well equipped and has been fighting back and continuing the conflict for a long period of time now. And that's what's going on right now. That's the situation we find ourselves in. And that is why it is astounding to me that our government continues to treat this situation with both sides being equal when clearly they are not. One side is the democratically elected government, and the other side is a disgruntled faction that is reacting with violence because they are no longer in power. It's a terrorist group. And again, the Ethiopian government has been clear that they do not condone any of the reported atrocities, and they will hold anyone who commits atrocities accountable.
The senator, in conclusion, expressed solidarity with Ethiopia and its young leader.
We, the United States, need to continue to engage Ethiopia and try to understand how what we're seeing today is a product years in the making. It's not a simple matter of two aggrieved parties. It is Prime Minister Abiy working to protect a unified, peaceful, stable Ethiopia. We should be talking to him about how we can help him restore peace, not slapping punitive sanctions on his government, an action that does nothing but demonstrate that we can't or won't appreciate the history and the regional differences that lead to this situation. And I want to close by speaking to Prime Minister Abiy and our friends in Ethiopia directly. Brother, I'm with you. Those of us who understand the history, that what you are facing and what you are working to support, we are with you, Prime Minister Abiy.
A Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson on Wednesday urged the U.S. side to stop interfering in other countries' internal affairs by spreading false information. Spokesperson Zhao Lijian made the remarks in a response to a media query about the one-year anniversary of the death of George Floyd. Floyd was an African-American who was killed during an arrest in the U.S. city of Minneapolis on May 25, 2020. Zhao said while U.S. is in grave violent incidents, such as shootings against ethnic minorities, it continues interfering in other countries' internal affairs. Quoting a report which claims 64 people were shot dead by police during the 21 days of Floyd's trial, Zhao urged the U.S. side to mind its own business. He called on the U.S. side to solve its own problems, provide security for its people, and grant them the right to breathe freely and be free from fear and discrimination instead of spreading lies about other countries, stirring up trouble everywhere, and interfering in the internal affairs of other countries. Ethiopian contending political parties say Ethiopians could not accept any undue external pressure on their internal affairs. Talking to ETV English, Ethiopian Citizens for Social Justice and ENNAT parties reflected on the recent U.S. sanction, dubbing it illegitimate and unfair. The party said Ethiopians don't need any external interference to resolve their own internal problems. Jerusalem Betaha reports.
Following the recent U.S. sanction imposed on Ethiopia, Ethiopians and Ethiopian origins are reacting in various ways. Different political parties who gave comment to ETV English said the recent U.S. sanction is neither legitimate nor acceptable according to the UN resolution. Ethiopian Citizens for Social Justice Party in particular said U.S. has been showing a growing interest to intervene in Ethiopia's affairs, including in the issue of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam.
That the U.S. has been turning its back towards Ethiopia in many aspects. First, during the dam negotiation, in the GRD dam negotiation, and now due to what's happening in Tigray region in Ethiopia. There is international rule that any country cannot intervene into the sovereignty of the other country by any means. This interference is strictly forbidden by UN resolutions, and US of all the countries should know that, should know better what is happening in our country is our internal affair in our belief, and it should stay that way. Any trait of our sovereignty has not ended up well in the past. It has been tried many times. This is not the first time a country intends or tries to intervene in our internal matter.
Indicating Ethiopia's profound history and diplomacy, Eyob said Ethiopians can't accept any undue pressure from any countries.
We are a country, just like the United States is. Just like any other country is, we are a country, a sovereign state. We have been so for over 3,000 years before these countries were even established, as a country. We know negotiations, we know diplomacy very well. We have been a member of the AU, or we started the AU from scratch. We have been member of the UN for God knows how long. So we know diplomacy. And diplomacy has effects, diplomacy will yield many results. But other than that, any pressure, any undue pressure has not yielded any result in the past. In any other country, and also in Ethiopia. It has been tried. This is not the first time. It has been tried many times. And many times over it has failed. And I don't think it's going to be different this time as well.
Though the U.S. President Joe Biden expressed his concern about the escalating violence and the hardening of regional and ethnic divisions in Ethiopia on his statement on Wednesday, parties said Ethiopians are enough to solve their internal matters rather than U.S. uncalled intervention. Accordingly, ENNAT party said Ethiopia needs an Ethiopian solution to its internal problems.
The issue of Tigrayans is the issue of Ethiopians. whatever wrongdoing takes place in Tigray is a concern for all Ethiopians. The same is true for whatever takes place in Welega or in Hararge or in Gamogofa, in any part of Ethiopia is a concern for all Ethiopians.
On the alleged atrocities in Tigray during the law enforcement operation or other parts of Ethiopia, NAT party stressed the need for rigorous investigation.
Whatever atrocities takes place in Tigray should be properly investigated. That's the stand of NAT party. Any atrocity which is taking place in Tigray needs to be, not only in Tigray for that matter, in any part of Ethiopia needs to be thoroughly investigated, and appropriate measures needs to be taken by the appropriate government.
Parties advise Ethiopians to properly deal with U.S. armed twisting strategy against their country by strengthening their unity.
Ethiopian Diaspora Agency said the U.S. pressure to intervene in Ethiopia's internal affairs will imperil the long-standing relationship between the two countries. Ethiopian Diaspora Agency Director General Salamawit Dawit stated that Ethiopian diaspora believe that Ethiopia and all Africans should fix their problems in their own ways. Emmanuel Jorgi has the details.
In recent days, the United States has put visa restrictions on Ethiopian officials in addition to a wide range of economic and security assistance restrictions to Ethiopia. Ethiopian Diaspora Agency said America's effort to intervene in Ethiopia's internal affairs will not bear anything meaningful other than negatively affecting the long-standing relationship between the two nations.
Situation that we are getting into and the push that we are, taking from Western countries, they see it as an influence not to do our own thing in our own way. Ethiopia is a sovereign country, and Ethiopia has its own decisions, its own principles. So diaspora believe that Ethiopia should go, Africa in general should go in its own way, should solve its own problem by its own solution.
Salamawi pointed out that the Ethiopian diaspora community has strong conviction in Ethiopia's capacity to manage its own internal problems. She said the international community, unless it is called for help, must leave Ethiopia and all African nations to solve their problems by themselves.
It is not a very good thing to our long-lasting relationship. It will affect our relationship and our Ethiopian and Western, African and Western relationship in a very bad way. It will affect our developmental and the activities that we're trying to do to change our nation's life, our democracy. And it will have a negative impact in general.
She also told ETV that Ethiopian diasporas are condemning America's decision of the visa restriction in different ways and expressing their support to Ethiopia and its government.
They feel this has to stop. This has to be realized, and some of them wanted to write a letter, give a briefing, demonstrate, and try to support the Ethiopian government and Ethiopian nations as a whole.
Ethiopian Diaspora Agency is working tough in advocating Ethiopia through its 56 public diplomacy centers around the world.
Hi, my name's Brooke Thomas Haftwed. I was born and raised in the UK. I do not like what the Egyptians are doing to Ethiopia. This is my dam.
It's my dam.
It's my dam. It's my dam. It's my dam.
It is my dam.
It is my dam. It's my dam.
In a related story, Ethiopian diaspora and Ethiopians by origin across the globe are contributing their best to support the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Director General of Ethiopian Diaspora Agency, Salamawit Dawit, told ETV English that the diaspora's contribution to the GERD grew by threefold in the last 9 months only. Take a listen to her.
When we compare the contribution from last year and this year, it has a very high difference. We can put it in number. For instance, in 2012 Ethiopian calendar, the contribution was under $1 million. Now we can say that within this 9 months, they have been contributing about more than $3 million. This is not something we have expected. It is really encouraging. As an agency, we encouraged by these activities and result that we achieved. So the general information that they have to get, we contribute. They are cooperative and they are working with us in a very good way.
Niala Insurance Share Company purchases over 26 million birr bond for the GERD construction. The GERD Public Participation Coordination Office acknowledged Niala Insurance and called for similar participation from other entities. Kasahun Jani reports.
The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam Public Participation and Coordination Office hosted an event to recognize companies and individuals that purchased bond for the construction of the dam. During the event, it was disclosed that Niala Insurance Society Company purchased more than 26 million birr bond for the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The company Chief Executive Officer Yared Molla said Niala has been playing its national role for the last 10 years since the construction of the dam began back in 2011.
Niala Insurance is one of the pioneer insurance companies in Ethiopia. In addition to availing our products and services to our customers, we also strongly believe that we have to discharge our corporate social responsibility. So today, with the event, we are here also to extend our support in response to the call from the Ethiopian government by purchasing a bond for our Grand Renaissance Dam. And we strongly believe that our support here will contribute for the effective and timely completion of our dam. So we are happy to be the part of this program. And today we bought a bond that cost us 26.75 million. Altogether so far for the last 10 years, we bought a bond that total cost of 90 million Ethiopian birr, and our contribution until the completion of this dam will continue, and it is something that gives us really a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment in discharging our social responsibility.
Niala Insurance Society Company purchased over 90 million birr worth of bonds over the past 10 years. According to the CEO Yared Molla, the company will continue such contribution till the dam gets done entirely.
We have started it and let's finish it. And I'm so hopeful that everybody is so willing only just to expand the platform, that everybody is happy and very ready to contribute. And now, just ahead of us, we're waiting for the second filament of the dam, and hopefully the third and the first generation of power also comes here. So let's do this. I hope everybody, both here in Ethiopia as well as in the diaspora, are very much happy and willing to be part of this dam.
The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam Public Participation and National Council Coordination Office Public Relations Director Hailu Abraham appreciates Nela Insurance Society Company and other concerned stakeholders for their continued commitment to support the construction of the dam by purchasing the bond.
Thanksgiving for Niala Insurance. Niala Insurance has bought 8 times in this year. It is the second time in this year. First time before some months, Niala Insurance contributed 12 million per bond for the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. And today, 26,750,000 per for the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance. It is very great. It is huge money.
Hailu calls on all Ethiopians to further strengthen their support for the dam, time and again, as it approaches the final level.
We Ethiopians must unite. We must contribute for the dam. All Ethiopians from the childhood up to old age, up to elders, up to retired people has contributed for the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. And this boy, he made his own artistic movement on video, on social media. He gathered more than 250,000 birr, and he gives this birr, donate the birr for Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam as a donation, not a bond.
Besides, Misgana Theodros, a 7-year-old Ethiopian, raised 250,000 birr from abroad and handed it over to the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam Public Participation Coordination Office through his father, Theodros Santaya. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam Public Participation Coordination Office lauded Misgana's effort and called for a concerted effort from all Ethiopians around the world to have complementary contributions.
Welcome back. An Ethiopian delegation led by State Minister of Foreign Affairs Redwan Hussein pays a working visit to Qatar. During the visit, Redwan met with Qatar's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman Al Thani. The two sides discussed on bilateral and regional issues. The Ethiopian delegation also met with representatives of various diaspora associations in Qatar to talk about the recent situation in Ethiopia. Ethiopia. During the discussion, Ambassador Redouane called on the diaspora community to support the Ethiopian government and their country in order to cope with challenges at home and resist external pressures to build a better future. Ethiopia has been elected as a member of the UNESCO Committee of the 1970 Convention. Ethiopia got elected to assume the post during the 6th meeting of the state parties to the 1970 Convention, which was virtually held recently. The permanent delegation of Ethiopia congratulates the re-elected members and also the newly elected members of the Convention 1970. The convention focuses on ways of prohibiting and preventing the illicit import, export, and transfer of ownership of cultural property. Accordingly, Ethiopia is believed to contribute greatly to the protection of cultural properties while it carries on its duties as a member state to the committee.
Wageni mwakaribishwa Kenya yetu, hakuna matata.
Longolongo nyingi.
Haya unaishi wapi?
The name again. Mawenzi. Mawenzi.